I'm going to talk today about Stoic philosophy, okay? So I tried Stoic philosophy. I hate the word try, but I gave Stoic philosophy a go. I learned about it and I came to my own conclusions about it. And the reason I'm going to do this video is because I'm pretty sure that that ended up transforming pretty much everything about my life. And I don't like making grandiose claims, but I'm pretty sure that I can attach an element of Stoic philosophy to pretty much everything about the way that I feel today. And I don't know if you can see the smile on my face, but whew, that's a big deal. So where can we go with this, okay? It was that, in actual fact, that prompted me to do the video. So I don't know if you can see, but it's pouring with rain. That, in my prior thought process, in my prior meaning-making life, would have driven me nuts, okay? So I was one of these guys who time was very important. I was obsessed with using time fruitfully. This moment is never coming again, so what are you doing with it? I was in need of activity, of doing stuff to take advantage of the moment. So the sheer fact that it's pouring with rain and that's kind of constricting my ability to do whatever it is that I want to do kind of made me feel a little bit like a lion trapped in a cage, okay? Now, it's a moment to be with myself. It's a moment to reflect. It's a moment to understand. It's not as if I'm no longer a goal-centered or a sort of an achievement-oriented person. I very much still am. But I think my entire definition of what it is to achieve has broadened, it's expanded, it's widened. It's a much nicer definition of achievement. It's more fulfilling, it's more meaningful, it's more like me. And that is absolutely wild. So where can I go with this? Let me give you the punchline first, okay? So these are the big things that I've learned from Stoic philosophy, because there's a lot that you can read and watch about Stoic philosophy. I reckon probably half of the self-help books that exist today you could condense down to Stoicism. Here are the main things that I've learned. Number one, and there's only two. Number one, I don't know what I think I know. And number two, pretty much everything is outside my control, except the meaning that I attach to the experiences that I have. So my perception is inside my control, but pretty much everything is outside my control. That's not to say that I'm powerless, okay? But, you know, to go back to what I was saying before about being frustrated if I wasn't using time well, there was a lot of noise attached to that activity. And that has now no longer got any significance. So I can focus more fruitfully on my broader, longer term objectives rather than the minutiae of the present need. And so, whereas before perhaps I thought that I had the ability to do a lot in a short space of time, now I'm much more reflective upon the amount of power that I have to change things in a long space of time rather than focusing on the noise of every second of every day, if that makes sense, okay? So they're the two big things, right? One, I don't really know what I think I know. That's fantastic. So I can always be mistaken. There's always more than I'm considering. What else could it be sort of comes into my mind whenever I have a thought, especially if it's a triggering thought. And two, what was two? Oh yeah, that pretty much everything is outside my control, other than my thoughts and the meaning that I attach to those thoughts. In fact, even the thoughts are outside my control, but the meaning I attach to the thoughts, that's within my choice. So, why should you care about that? Okay? Life today is very good at providing you with quick fixes, with short-term solutions. You can pop a pill, you can eat a donut, you can go for a run, you can go on a retreat, you can go and sit in ice-cold water, okay? You can go meet a guru, you can go and meet a fortune teller, okay? there are 1,001 short-term solutions that somebody is prepared to tell you is the secret of your misgivings or current problems. And maybe there's something in all of them, but they're all based around this idea of keeping you doing and acting and within the noise of the current state of your mind. What Stoic philosophy gives you is the ability to take a step back, the ability to start to consider yourself and to see yourself in the context of your past, to understand the meaning-making processes that you are currently engaged in, and to question all of that. The moment that you can realize that what you think you know, that what you perceive to be the truth is not the whole story, that it's a very, very small part of the story that you are choosing to focus upon based around your past history, that someone else can have an entirely different interpretation of the same experience. This is mind-blowing, because suddenly, any time that let's take an extreme example. Let's say something comes along that you are petrified about. There is a massive, massive risk to your personal existence. Okay, something gargantuan of proportions. You're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your money, you're going to be destitute. The entire thing is running. There is a catastrophe running in your mind, which is causing your heart rate to pound. Your stomach has lost all ability to eat. You're on fire inside your skin. Let's go to that extent. Stoic philosophy can ground you instantly, because it turns out that catastrophe that feels completely real to you, that story that feels entirely correct to you, at the very least is definitely not the whole story. That's guaranteed. And it's very, very likely indeed that it's the incorrect story, even though it feels entirely like you. And what that does in that one moment is to calm you down. It actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so what's happening is you've got this shoot of adrenaline, this shoot of fear running inside of yourself. If you can then understand that, all right, that's one perspective, but what else might this be? Consider all the times in your life where you've been absolutely certain of something and it's turned out to be completely and utterly wrong. Yeah, as a simple example, because everybody has examples like that. So suddenly you can bring a breadth of exposure, breadth of potential, a broadening of agency, of personal power to something that before was so singular, it was narrowing, literally narrowing your brow. Right? It was sending us a wave, a surge of fear through you. So having a broader perspective is emancipating, okay? Then add to that this idea that, well, of this thing that I am concerned about, what is within my sphere of influence? What can I do something about? And what, with the best will in the world, unfortunately, is beyond my control. It's outside my control. No matter how much I might want to control that element, I can't. That brings you a sense of clarity. You can then consider what it is that you are able to do to influence the situation to a certain extent, knowing that everything else is going to do what everything else does. So you can actually start to see the steps to improve your situation. And then you add to that this idea of the main thing which is inside my control is my meaning-making machine. If I focus on the fact that this is a scary, fearful thing, I'm going to find scary, fearful things around every corner. So can I, for example, see this as a challenge, an opportunity, no matter how rough it might be, because that might help get you back in a positive mindset, which allows you to start getting back on your own side effectively, being able to feel a little bit more stable, a little bit more in control. You might also want to look at it from the perspective of, what are the things that I have not thought about? Okay? What are the things that I know nothing about whatsoever that could impact this? Or even, are there just other things out there that can impact this that are also outside of my control? So why should I be so dead set upon knowing what it is that I'm knowing and wedding myself to my current perception? Okay. A thought is just a thought. A good thought and a bad thought, a fun thought and a scary thought, they're all made of the same stuff, okay, whatever that stuff is. So the thought in itself is kind of neutral. The bias, the swing, comes from the meaning that we attach to the thought, okay? What you perceive of that comes to define your reality. We go back to this idea of, you know, what is my expectation of life? What is my reality? And therefore, am I satisfied or dissatisfied? Okay, so if my expectation is here, my reality is here, well then that's basically pain. Okay, if my reality and my expectation are the same, then I'm neutral. I have a sense of serenity, a sense of calm. If my expectation is low and my reality is high, well then that's a recipe for rapturous joy. Yeah. This bit might be slightly in your control, right? Although the vast bulk of it is going to be impacted by the world, which is things that are outside of your control. But this bit is entirely inside of your control, okay? So maybe if you just shift your expectations, you can suddenly come to appreciate everything about what you have, even if it's tricky, yeah? So the whole perspective is, this side, the world is going to do what the world is going to do. It's outside my control. What is inside my control? So to a certain extent, your actions, but probably more on the long term than on the very immediate short term, but more importantly, your perceptions. That's it. End result is a tool that gives you instant serenity. So no matter what life throws you, then suddenly you can look at it and go, you know, I couldn't have predicted that. I should have predicted that, is what's going on in your mind. You should have thought about this in advance, right? Stoic philosophy shows you, I couldn't have predicted that. Maybe there's something to learn from it. Maybe if something like that similar occurs in the future, I'll be able to reflect upon this experience and maybe plan ahead better next time. But in this particular occasion, this came completely out of left field and I had no ability to anticipate and prepare myself for it, okay? Or whatever happened, I went through the steps that I went through. The steps weren't perfect. My thought process wasn't perfect, but at the time I was doing the things that seemed the best to me at that time. Today, I suddenly see the results of that. I have a different perspective now, but I didn't know that before. And so today, perhaps with the benefit of hindsight, I could have done something different. But that's irrelevant because I didn't know that then. Yeah? So the whole purpose of this is getting back on your own side, accepting that the only perception that you have is the perception that you have right this second, that everything before was done on the same basis, that you tried your best, that you were honoring whatever it was that you were going towards at that moment, and that those sands can always shift. Yeah. So you get back on your own side, you accept that you're a flawed member of the human race, you start to come to understand the meaning-making machine that you are operating. you start to notice the difference between your fears and their motivations, and your goals and their motivations. You can start to lift the veil and look behind and start to consider what are your true core values, your true needs, your true motivations, and what are the results of fears. The entire thing is a sense of congruence. It's a sense of self-awareness, self-understanding, self-belief, and a sense of acceptance of your place in the world, a sense of your power and also your powerlessness. And this is a magical combination, because then you start to divert your energy into the things that count, and you forget about the things that are outside of your control. I think I've talked enough about Stoic philosophy there. I've got another video somewhere which is called something like Who Am I, What Am I, When Am I? Because this is a similar sort of process, right? The whole idea is to sort of ground yourself and understand who and what and when you are. Most of the time when we have fears, for example, we're not in the now, we're in the future, right? Which doesn't exist. So we're worrying about something in the future. Most of the time when we're being judgmental, we're not in the now, we're in the past. We're reconsidering things that went on and telling ourselves what we should have done. The past doesn't exist either. The only thing that exists is the right here and right now. And you learn and you understand and you incorporate whatever it is that you knew from the past, and you come to a conclusion upon right now. Stoic philosophy is a wonderful thing. It's absolutely fantastic. If you're interested, go check out my other videos. So there's quite a lot of them that have a vein of Stoicism in them. Yeah. And subscribe. There'll be more like this. All right. If you've got other things that you, in particular, that you've come across, that have learned, that you found to be very, very comforting, for example, or very empowering, write them down in the comments below. I would love to find out. All right. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Take care. Until next time. Goodbye.